make that choice based on the information that you have at that specific moment in your life. So say in 2019, you thought studying political science was a great idea. 2 years later, you find it's a dead end as career options go. Why? Because you've talked to people, you've researched the area, and you find that a whole lot of people who had studied political science are still unemployed. Okay, now you may go in a panic. However, the fact is that you are now armed with some information. So you may decide that maybe you will explore some other subjects, or maybe study further in political science itself and specialize in some specific aspects which may help you to get a job. This might mean finding a career that you feel genuinely passionate about, or it might involve taking a considerable risk, such as completely changing your career path. Number 2, it depends on how you see yourself. Are you a victim or are you a winner? Are you going to keep blaming your family, your circumstances, some random national event, your Janam Kundli or something like that? Or are you going to go out there, work really hard, arm yourself with good skills and information in order to succeed? You have the power to choose the type of attitude you want to have in life. Your response to problems, to setbacks, and even sometimes to angry people says a lot about you. Choosing to have a positive, compassionate, and determined attitude can mean the difference between feeling sorry for yourself and creating a life that you always dreamed of living. When I was 11 years old, the sports master in our school was selecting some people for the volleyball team. So I also turned up for the trials. The sports master took one look at me and said, "You out of the line. You're too short for this sport." My classmates started laughing and I felt really crushed. But as I walked away, he called me back. He said, "Gitali, you could try for the table tennis team or diving. They need people with good agility and shorter neural networks." Suddenly, I was not a short person. I was an agile person with shorter neural networks. So here's the thing. The sports master took away the idea of lack of inches and replaced it with a phrase stripped of value judgment. It was no longer a question of not having a long enough stride or a high enough reach. It was about possessing the ability which fit some requirement somewhere else. This opened up a world of possibility and choices. Recognize what you can control and what you cannot. Your circumstances are not in your control. But Abraham Maslow has told us that each moment presents us with a choice. You can choose to either step forward into growth or backward into safety. But the choice is always yours. Step up to embrace a challenge or step back into the comfort zone. What will we gain by consciously, mindfully exercising choices? 2 things. 1, self-actualization, which means the complete realization of our potential, the full development of our abilities, and the appreciation for the beauty of life with all its ups and downs, because nobody ever guaranteed that it would be a smooth ride. Number 2, resilience and anti-fragility. Resilience, of course, as we all know, is the ability to become strong, healthy, and successful after something bad happens, right? Taking, say, Dr. Frankel's example. But more than that, being anti-fragile means choosing to thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder. As Nassim Nicholas Taleb says, the resilient resists shocks and stays the same. The anti-fragile gets better. We are constantly faced with decisions, and the choices we make turn us into the people we become. It would be great to remember that it is a privilege to have a life where we can make choices, for it is choices which help us to evoke change and seek personal growth. Our lives are the sum total of the choices we make. So let us appreciate that we have the freedom to shape this life. The greatest power in this world is the choice. You are the most influential person in your life. You can embrace your strengths or give away your power. The choice is yours. We started with a story of Dr. Viktor Frankl. Let us end with his words. Forces beyond your control can take away anything and everything you possess except one thing: your freedom to choose how you will respond to the situation. You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you. Thank you, friends. Thank you for listening patiently.
Thank you, ma'am. From your talk, I could figure out that success is not final, failure is not fatal. Ultimately, it's the courage to continue that counts. Ultimately, it's our choice we can decide that whether we want to get defeated by circumstances or we want to fight against all the odds. Also, ma'am, you taught us that how much importance, or it is a matter of importance to have that self-actualization of our potentials within ourselves, so that we can embrace our lives, we can fulfill all our goals and objectives and do whatever we can, touch the mountain peak, we can go wherever we want to and achieve the unachievable. Thank you so much, ma'am. We have heard you speak in the rendezvous session as well, and hearing you again was an extremely delightful for all of us, and we could take so much from you. We wish to meet you soon, very soon, in our college as well. We hope, all of us hope that you come to Varanasi very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such an honor, and I was so thrilled that my favorite my favorite cousin, Pradhima, has chosen to invite me for this talk. I really do believe that we can meetings like this can really help us as much as they will help the listeners. They help me too, because instead of just spending all my time in the world of figures and facts, I choose to go away a little bit and sometimes work on these issues which are really close to my heart. And choice is something which really excites me. And it was really amazing that you should make this. I have watched some of the videos that, on the Sunbeam website, on the Facebook page, and I really enjoyed those this morning. I was watching them, and such great ideas. And I know that whoever listens to them is going to benefit, because it opens up a whole world of new ideas for all of us. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you invited me for this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Gitali, and thank you for making the choice to be here today with us on this forum. And may I say, as usual, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that I have you as my sister in my life. Take care, stay safe.
People around the world came to know the importance of being healthy and fit in the past couple of years. Yes, COVID taught us to take good care. Speaker aptly says so, that wellness is not the fear of sickness. It is the freedom that comes with being well. It simply means aligning your body and mind to only consume what nourishes you within. We have Ms. Nidhi Pandya to talk about life energy and how it shapes our choices and decisions. Nidhi ma'am, are you able to hear me?
Here I am.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So before we jump into your talk, let me read your short profile and then we can start with your talk.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Nidhi ma'am is a third generation Ayurvedic practitioner based in New York City. She has a strong foundation in the ancient Ayurvedic texts and has the unique ability making them applicable and comprehensible to all. She is a core part of the faculty, speaker at various organizations, including Google and the Chopra Center. She writes for various publications and has been featured in the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and Indian Express. She has been on more than 24 podcasts all over the world and has been on talk shows with various celebrity Ayurveda chefs. Ms. Nidhi is also on the board of advisors for several upcoming Ayurveda-based products, including Indiviral by Deepa Khosla. Ms. Nidhi is a celebrity Ayurveda consultant. She has worked with Tara Emmert, Rachel Britton, Gabriella Wright, Amina Taha, to name a few. It is an honor to have you with us today. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. And while my world is of wellness, wellness actually begins within. And I'm going to go back to talk about the Indian woman of the 20th century. The Indian woman of the 20th century who sacrificed, who compromised. Letting go and surrender was her middle name. She cared for everyone, but rarely for herself. The Indian woman of the 20th century was the reason why joint families existed. She was great at becoming invisible. Identity was a taboo word. As the millennium turned, the Indian woman rose. Women all over the world rose. They rose and they raised their voices. They gave up their sari and they took on their suit. They became leaders. They assumed positions. They also challenged their biological clocks, having children in their 30s and 40s. It became a time when identity became a virtue. Well, don't get me wrong, this is not a talk on feminism. This is a talk of my struggle between the two worlds and how I have found a rough roadmap and a guide to balance the two. I was raised in the Mumbai of the late 20th century in a joint family of 14 people, the fabric of which was woven by 3 mothers. I was taught in the family that the only way to exist in a group is by blending. And life has brought me here to New York, where I'm running a business and I'm raising 2 young daughters, pretty much all by myself. I realized as I moved from my life in India to my life in the US, that I was a master at finding my flow, living in a big family, but it became hard to find my feet. And I started to question, can we really have it all? Because my heart bleeds for women in both these eras. Evolved gender roles have really not been able to live up to the promise of a more fulfilled woman. In fact, the woman today may even be more exhausted, hustling at work, hustling at home, often having a job that can buy a beautiful house, but leave you with no time to connect to those who are actually living in that space. So how do we have it all? How do we balance these roles? And the one thing that came to my awareness is that we carry within us these 2 energies, all of us, the feminine and the masculine. Each one of us, irrespective of our gender, carry these energies that enable us to exist in our environment in a certain manner. And if we are able to really tap into both these energies, hone them, cultivate them, and balance them, more than any time before in history, today we can play multiple roles. We can learn to be present in our life and yet plan for the future, to enjoy the world and achieve in it. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about these 2 energies that exist within both of us, which both exist within each one of us. And how can we recognize them? How can we use them to our advantage? How can we truly live a life that satisfies us? So what are these feminine and masculine energies? Let me start by giving you what the feminine energy is. When we as human beings are in our feminine, we are great at surrendering, at letting go. The feminine in us seeks connection, seeks to be in a group, seeks to be nurtured. It flows like a river. It's more curious. It's less investigative. It trusts more. It surrenders more. It believes in its intuition. It's more feeling. It's less thinking. It is really the reason why you can flow and you can exist in groups and create deep, meaningful relationships. By contrast, the masculine is everything the feminine is not. When we exist in our masculine energy, it's the energy that allows you to be in control, to have a structure, to have framework, to be organized. It is a little bit more egocentric, a little bit more task-driven. It is really what finds us stability, what grounds, gets tasks done. Without the masculine energy, the feminine energy can be all over the place. Without the feminine energy, the masculine energy can be too rigid. Both these generations were skewed in the energies. Finding balance of those two energies is really what grounds us and centers us. So let me give you a few scenarios of what does it look like when we are just in our feminine dominant. If you're just existing in your feminine, yes, you're great at finding your flow. But what does that look like in your life, in your personal life at home? You're probably the one who's always giving up for everyone else to shine. You're letting go, you're surrendering, but in the long term, it could leave you resentful. As a mother, you may not be very good at setting rules and boundaries. Your children have been allowed to be all over the place. You find it hard to organize yourself, to structure yourself, to build a timetable. In a romantic relationship, you may be very attractive at first because you're always in your feminine, you're finding your flow. But before you know it, you have dissolved yourself. If you have a masculine dominant partner, you've dissolved yourself for your masculine dominant partner's goals. If you have a feminine dominant partner and you both exist in your feminine, you may be chilling and watching TV, but it becomes very hard to achieve in the world. What happens at work when you're in your feminine dominant? Yes, you may create some really good friendships and connections, but you often find it very hard to meet deadlines. You're also the one who's slapped with all the extra work, and you still find it very hard to rise up in the organization, to grow. At the end, it can leave you very frustrated and disorganized. To organize that chaos, you need your masculine. But by contrast, what happens when you only exist or you're very dominant in your masculine energy? Yes, you may come across fierce, you may come across as a warrior. Let's see what that leaves your scenario at home with your children, in your relationships, and at work. When we end up being very dominant in our masculine, we may be high achievers in the society in terms of the conventional understanding of success. But at home, we may be taskmasters. Our home may feel more like a prison than a home, with rules and regulations, frameworks. We may carry an uptight energy of always getting things done. It may be hard for us to become in the present moment. With our children, if we're masculine dominant, we may always be the ones who want them to go to bed at a certain time, creating 100 rules. We may even become helicopter parents. And it becomes hard for people around us, for our children to grow. If you're masculine dominant in your personal relationships, if you're not balanced, then you're masculine dominant in your romantic relationships or your personal relationships, you probably will attract a partner who's also masculine dominant because you like alpha energy. But a masculine and masculine energy go to war very quickly. Your home may be a place of raised voices and bruised egos. It becomes hard for you to find that balance. There's a control battle all the time. When you bring masculine dominant at work, you may be very good at leading and taking authority, but you may not connect very well with your peers. When outcomes don't go your way, you may have a hard time dealing with those repercussions. You like to have things in your manner. But when we can truly identify that we carry both these energies, we have the power to carry that feminine in us, which allows to surrender. And we have the masculine, which can be in control, provide the framework, ground, and be in charge. And when we become aware of these two energies, And when we're able to call upon them at our beck and call, to know when which one is needed, we can truly enjoy our world around us. We can be present and we can yet plan. We can truly connect and conquer. What does that look like? When we can hone both these energies, the feminine and the masculine. As mothers, we know when to be in our feminine. When your child is distraught and needs to be heard, you can sit back and listen. When you need to wake up 4 times to nurse a small baby at night and things have gone unpredictably, you can connect the bonds of the family. But you can also call upon your masculine when you're balanced and create rules and boundaries when they need to. You can pack lunches, create timetables, organize your house in a manner that everybody else can flow and enjoy their dominant, their masculine as well as feminine energies. Setting boundaries and still enjoying the flow. When I ask my children to go into their beds, I'm in my masculine. When I sit on the dining table and hear their stories from the day, I'm in my feminine. How does that look like in your personal relationships? A traditional female in her feminine is very exciting because she brings out the masculine in a traditional male figure. That's a very fulfilling exchange. But with a balanced energy, she also knows when to call upon her masculine to set her boundaries. She knows when to call upon her masculine when she needs to be heard, when she needs to draw her line. She can become the voice of reason. She can become the person to go to help with your strategy. Queens of the ancient times, the great queens that we know of, were very balanced. They could look at the macro and the micro. They could connect and they could conquer. At the workplace, while we may think that it's just important to be in your masculine dominant, it's very important to also call upon your feminine. Sometimes to connect with your peers, to understand that always go in your manner, in the way that you plan them. Those balanced energies are very important to achieve and to surrender when it's required. You can truly establish a network, grow, come up with new ideas, create a vision and achieve. Creating the vision and the execution. These are 2 sides of the masculine and the feminine dominant. So as our roles change and evolve in the society, as I work with plenty of women, sometimes who have achieved great success in their professional world, but are feeling lacking in personal relationships. By contrast, sometimes they've set up perfect homes, but feel unfulfilled and unseen inside. And the one roadmap that I could establish for myself and provide to anybody else who's listening is the ability to really tune into both of these sides, to be able to find your flow and find your feet, to constantly play with them so you can achieve that success. At the end, I'm just going to offer you some ideas of how do you start cultivating these energies. While we are all naturally dominant pretty much in one of the 2, some people are born to stand out, more in control. Some people like the flow better. But you can actually cultivate both of them. To cultivate the feminine energy, I suggest journaling, dancing, practicing letting go, gratitude, understanding that life has its own order, to watch less news, to do less research, to watch less shows that really rile us up and put us into the action mode. To be more in the masculine, I suggest by starting to just make goals, to make to-do lists, to create a routine for yourself in your daily life, to just start by checking the boxes. And when we're able to organize our life in a macro manner, and when we're able to flow with it, I truly believe that this woman of the new era can enjoy her family and enjoy her work, can really connect like the woman in the 20th century, but conquer like the woman in the 21st century. So I hope this little talk has given you some insight, some roadmap into how you can tune within and keep yourself balanced so you can truly live a balanced and a fulfilled life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. These lines from you will certainly push us to love ourselves the way we are. Definitely, as you said, that wellness begins from within. We should take care of our bodies because it's the only place we have to live in. After hearing you speak, I acquired a natural curiosity, understanding of how the human mind works, as well as how associations early in life go a long way in determining the overall attitude of any individual. And each one of us, as you said, have this energy of both masculine and feminine energy within us, and we just need to tune both of these sides, and then we can stand out from the crowd. And definitely life energy shapes our choices and decisions. Really, ma'am, it was very much inspiring to hear you speak, and thank you so much for being with us in TEDx Sunbeam College Women.
Thank you so much. It's an honor, and I hope this talk will be helpful to all the women of our future. Thank you.
Definitely, ma'am.
With this, we come to the end of yet another amazing set of inspirational talks from our beloved guests of today. This has been a tremendous challenge with much more work than we had expected. And we would simply not be able to do all these work without the help of our Assistant Director, ma'am, Mrs. Pratima Gupta, who not only spoke with all the speakers so that we could find a suitable speaking slots, but also is the curator of this thought-provoking symposium. This would not have been possible without the help of Sandeep sir, who has been an excellent producer of the show. Sir has helped us understand, analyze, and execute the technical intricacies so wonderfully. Thank you, sir and ma'am.
This would not have been possible without our chairman, Dr. Deepak Madhok, our director, Mrs. Bharti Madhok, who gave the patronage for this event. This would not have been possible without the help of this college, which believes in transcending borders and inspire us to choose the impossible. The cornerstone of this inspiration are none other than Dr. Madhulika Singh, Administrative Head, Sunbeam College, and Dr. Vibha Srivastava, Principal, Sunbeam College. This would not have been possible without TEDx Sunbeam College Women Core Committee, and the committee members are Sudeshna ma'am, Ruchi ma'am, Natasha ma'am, Ankita ma'am, Manish sir, Alok sir, Keval sir, Hemant sir, Shashank sir, and Abhinav sir, and the entire technical team. This would not have been possible without the TED organizing committee, and the members are Shruti Tiwari, Nidhi Khemka, Pragati, Shalini Mishra, Shreya Saraf, Ayushi Dubey.
At last, I would like to also thank my beloved alumni, Shaili Tiwari, Soma Ghosh, and Shruti Narayan. Now, I take this opportunity to hand over to Pratima ma'am for her final few words.
Well, we started at 8:30 in the morning. By my watch, it is getting on close to 6. And in the course of almost about 9 hours, I have traveled 6 countries. I have delved into the minds of 16 women. I have lived 16 lifetimes, and I have sat mesmerized and enthralled for 18 minutes every time one of these phenomenal 16 women took the forum and decided and talked to us. For me, the takeaway is always a sense of wonder and amazement as to how much the human mind and how much the human spirit is capable of. Whether it is overcoming adversities, whether it is redefining new challenges, whether it is innovative, or whether it is simply deciding to be a good human being. So much can be achieved if the human mind and the soul comes together in a celebration of, I would say, perseverance and passion. I would say that this entire event has been something of a life lesson encapsulated into 9 hours for all my college students, for also all the students of the Sunbeam group, all the teachers and staff of the Sunbeam group who were there amongst the many, many viewers. 18 minutes can, of course, change your life. 18 minutes can make a different person out of you. 18 minutes can give you a new perspective, or 18 minutes can enthuse you to live your life with a newer fervor. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies of the world, for giving us 18 minutes of your time. Because you tuned in and you viewed us and you listened to us, probably the impact is going to be manifold amongst thousands whose lives you touch because someone touched your life for the 18 minutes. To my speakers, I place my debt of gratitude. Thank you for coming across time zones. Thank you for coming across work schedules. Thank you for making families wait while you thought that this task was important and needed your time. Thank you above all for sharing deeply moving personal experiences so fearlessly, so boldly with us on a forum and for inspiring all of us. To the organizing team of TEDx Women, Sunbeam College, I would say that you are the wind beneath our wings. It is because you stand in solidarity that we dare to dream so much and we achieve so much together. To my wonderful anchors, Ayushi and Shriti, a job where after each speaker had delivered their talk came straight from the heart. There was no prompting, there was no need for a script because you knew that your hearts are talking and your minds, which have been deeply impacted, are sharing what you have felt. To everyone in the forum today and to everyone across the length and breadth of the world, voices need to be heard, thoughts need to be shared with abandon, thoughts have to be unfettered because if we have to live life peacefully, if we have to talk about a world which has acceptance, which has tolerance, which has humanity in it, then voices have to be heard, then choices have to be exercised. And you and I have to be the part of this silent, slow revolution, which will allow people to think freely, to speak freely, to exercise their choices freely. I look forward to more collaborations now and always to make a better world, a safer world for the generations ahead. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to admit my thoughts. A good event never ends in the word. They take only a pause and keep us waiting for the next. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud of what we have created. We are proud of what this TEDx event has brought to you. I thank you all for joining us today to witness this magnificent event. Until we meet again, thank you and Jai Hind.